If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we are now joined by Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 88 Nationwide Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And before we open it up, we have Indianapolis Motor Speedway track president Doug Bowles here, who is going to show his appreciation today.
Absolutely. Hey, sir. How are you? I'm good. So one of the cool things that we did for Jeff Gordon when he retires, we actually gave him a number from the pylon. And the cool connection for Jeff was that pylon appeared for the first time during the first Brickyard 400, so that pylon really was up for all the races that Jeff ran until this one came. And we were trying to figure out what to do. You actually tweeted that out and said it was pretty cool. And you and I talked, I think, driver intros, and you said you wanted one. I said, well, go win the race, and we'll get you one. And I said, well, do you want a 3 or an 8? And you said, I don't know, I have to think about it. So we've been thinking internally what makes the most sense for us, and we settled on the number 8. So we're going to present you with a number 8 from the pylon, but we settled on number 8 for a couple of reasons. One, the 8 is what you've been known for in your Cup career, whether it's 8 or 88, they come together. You were 8th today, which is pretty awesome in that last practice session, so that 8 theme sticks there. But what we like the best about it, your rookie year in 2000, you started 6th, but the guy that started 8th and finished 8th was your dad. So this is not a 3, but it has a connection to you and to your dad. So we felt like we would present you with, from the old pylon, the number 8.
Oh, thank you.
So thanks for everything you've done for us, and I've been pretty vocal since you decided you were going to retire that I'm not supposed to do this, but I've told everybody I want Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win this race.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool to have you in the history books with your dad and all the other guys who've done so much for our sport and for this place. So I'll be wearing my Dale Earnhardt stuff on Sunday, and the best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The I like stuff like that. We have a lot of old memorabilia, and got a great spot for that one. It's a this track to me has so much history beyond obviously the stock cars, and it's really interesting what this track's been through and how it survived. Recessions and wars, and initially, this was where all the guys were bringing their cars that they were building. Lewis Chevrolet and guys like that were coming here and racing, and kind of created the auto industry at Indy. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for this racetrack, for its history, for what it means to American motorsports and what it means to motorsports globally. It's an honor to have an opportunity to ever race here, and so I appreciate that a lot.
Okay, we're going to open up the floor for questions. If you have a question for Dale, please raise your hand. We'll start here with Bob and go to Kelly.
Dale, when Michael Phelps was going through his final Olympics, he said that he had a different feeling about it going through the process. He was stopping and smelling the roses and appreciated the little things more. How has it been for you going through your final season on the circuit?
Well, it's definitely it's certainly different to have an end point, to have a time and a date out there that is coming. And for years and years, you just never knew when you were going to retire. I still feel like I have to allow myself to get competitive, and I want to go out there and do well in all the practices and all the races, and I want our team to have success. So there's not as much probably stopping and smelling the roses as I would like. I guess if we were maybe running a little better, it'd be a little more of that. But we're just grinding away, trying to get our cars better, we're working really hard trying to get our performance up, and that takes a lot of focus. That takes a lot of commitment from everyone, me included. So it's felt a lot similar to all the years before. I maybe don't stress as much, I guess, about not performing as well as I'd like, as I had in the past. Certainly let that get the best of me before, but I won't allow that to happen this year. You know, it's nice though. I mean, you know, I enjoy. You know, I've enjoyed the season, and it's starting to. You know, we turned the corner, and we're coming down the last straightaway, and going to these racetracks. And this year's going to wrap up pretty quickly before you know it. So, just trying to enjoy being behind the wheel, and enjoy, you know, I'm just, you know, when you're out there driving and beating your head against the wall trying to figure out how to get faster, you got to remind yourself a little bit too to enjoy it, to enjoy, you know, these last few runs, because it is fun. It's fun driving the car. Just the pure enjoyment of racing and driving is always going to be there, and that's going to be there long after I retire, and I'll miss some things about that. So I'm just trying to make sure I really take that in, just the driving part. There's a lot of stuff that you try to take in, but we're still trying to get faster and get better, and it feels real similar because it takes so much commitment to run well in this series. You can't, you know, farewell tours aren't quite as graceful as they sound. You know, you can't really kind of skip through a season even if it's your last.
We're going to go to Kelly, then to Bruce, then to Bob.
KellyCrandallRacer.com. Dale, with having not having run this race last year, do you feel like maybe you might be a little behind this weekend, or have you done any extra work maybe in the simulator, or talked to the team about their notebook from last year to prepare for Sunday?
Yeah, I didn't think about it. I didn't even think about, you know, having missed the races and feeling like I've, you know, I'm at a deficit. But we did work on the simulator. I think we learned some things in the simulator that I think that Indy is, to try to help, you know, make some sense of it. The simulator matches up well with some tracks, and other tracks it doesn't. You know, some tracks I've ran in the simulator, and I don't. It doesn't remind me of what, you know, driving a car in real life feels like, and so it's kind of hard to correlate the adjustments and feelings and really trust what you're feeling and what you're learning in the sim. But some tracks do match up well. I thought that Indy was one of them. So we worked in the sim a little bit Monday, and you know, just to try to get through some changes. Practice is so limited here. It's an advantage to be able to sort of simulate practice. So, but I haven't really thought about, you know, missing a lot of races or not having run here. It's really not an excuse, even if we are not running well. We're actually been pretty quick today. I don't like the way the car drives at all, but the speeds are fast, and maybe everybody's car doesn't drive well. But I'm a little concerned about the balance of the car, but our speeds have been good. But yeah, I don't think that I don't think that I should struggle at any of the tracks due to missed time. Having run so much and raced for so long, you should be able to jump right back in there and be right up to speed personally. So hopefully we don't struggle too much.
Go to Bruce, then to Bob, then to Woody.
Bruce Martin with Auto Week. Throughout your career, you've competed against such legendary drivers, lots of race wins, drivers that have won championships, but none of them can touch you in terms of popularity. Do you sometimes wonder how fate or the sport chose you to be in the position that you're in? And I also have a follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, I know how that happened. I was getting autograph requests as a driver when I was racing in a late model series at Myrtle Beach, and I knew that I hadn't done anything on the racetrack to warrant that. I knew it was because of my last name. Not that that was a bad thing, but I just knew that it was not for the reasons that I was trying to achieve. And you know, I think with everything that happened, we came onto the scene, had a really successful 98, 99 in the Xfinity Series, big splash, you know. Got everybody excited about another generation Earnhardt. My dad had so many fans that this was really exciting for them, that there's another Earnhardt that has potential. And then with everything that happened with Dad's death, that certainly changed a lot of things as far as how the fans feel and how they reacted. So, but I feel like, you know, so we gained a giant following, you know, without ever having done much. And but I like to think that we did, you know, we did good hanging on to it and growing it, and we got in front of a lot of. We worked and made effort to get in front of people that didn't know racing. We were able to get into some mainstream publications and so forth that a lot of drivers didn't have access to. And so we did that, not only for our own benefit, but we tried to you know, help grow our fan base. And I think that we might have, you know, a lot of Dad's fans wanted me to be just like Dad. That wasn't going to happen. So we might have lost some of those guys, but we gained a lot of people for, I think, how we carried ourselves and represented ourselves throughout my career. So I feel like we did some good things in the last, 18 years.
And it's one of the most important things that you take away from your career, that if you ask any driver in the garage area, they'll say that you're very fair and clean to race with.
What's the question?
I
got
that
hung up on
satisfying
fair
to
and
you
clean?
to be
I
known
was
as
like-
a fair and clean
I heard a
driver?
compliment and I got hung up. I appreciate that. I was never, I've turned a few guys around, but, and you can be aggressive when your car allows you to be aggressive. When your car's fast enough, for you to be aggressive with it, you can certainly be aggressive. But I've always, I appreciate to hear that, and I want to be considered a clean race car driver and a guy that you can trust to race with. That's one of the things that that's one of the first things I think you do as a driver when you're racing against your competitors is the trust part. Whether you really think you can get down in the corner and know they're going to hold their line or not do anything stupid. Then you learn a lot of other things about them, good and bad, as the time goes on. But that's the first thing you sort of develop with everyone individually, is that trust, or the fact that you can't trust them. So I appreciate that, and hopefully they enjoyed racing with me. I certainly have. Enjoyed racing all the guys that have came and went.
We're going to go Bob, Woody, then to Megan.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. I know you talked to Michael Orr, I want to say back in February. I was curious if you'd talked to him anymore, and what was your reaction to see him get released for feeling a physical, kind of knowing somebody going through concussion and not be able to get healthy enough to play?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him, if he needs to. I was sort of, when I talked to him the first time, that meeting was put together by our doctors, and I would only talk to him if he wanted that or my doctors thought that would be a good idea. I don't want to interject or get in anybody's business. But I support anybody going through that situation. His situation and mine was kind of similar. And what we dealt with as far as our symptoms and so forth. So that was a reason why I think they wanted me and him to chat a little bit, because it really helps to hear from someone going through it. Nothing more frustrating than trying to talk to somebody about concussions that hasn't had one. I wasn't bothered by him getting released. Only thing that it made me think about was it's a shame that he's not healthy yet, and that hopefully he continues to take the time. I know that he tweeted a couple days ago that he was headed to see Mr. Collins. That made me feel good because I know he's seeing the right people. in Pittsburgh, and that I'm glad that he's still persistent and following their orders and getting in front of the right folks. That's all you can do, and he just needs to take the time necessary. I don't think football should be anything that he's probably thinking about right now, because you don't, and he might not even care about football right at this moment. He might just want to do whatever he needs to do to get well. And certainly going through that experience changes your priorities, and he just needs to. He certainly seems to be making the right choices for himself. If he's up there seeing Mickey and still, pursuing what he needs to get well. So I'm there to support him or anyone else really going through that situation.
Okay, we'll go to Woody, then to Megan, the gentleman over there in the black shirt.
Woody Kane with MRN. Dale, is a frustrating time at Pocono last time you were there, but it wasn't so long ago that you swept there. There's a theory that if you do well here, you can do well there. Are you a subscriber to that theory, and why or why not?
I don't. There are some similarities with the racetracks. I talked to Greg today just even about our car, and this, if anything, if you can pull anything from Pocono, it's turn 3. How the car gets through the center of turn 3 and the exit of that corner is very similar to the center and exits of these corners. Some of the characteristics that the car has, and what makes the car work well in turn 3 at Pocono probably would help here. And so you kind of point Greg or your crew chief in that direction and say, I need whatever we could do or whatever we did or hit on in Pocono that might have helped us in turn 3. That's some tools I would probably go to first to try to get through the corner here. But other than that, I don't really see. I don't. If you ran great here, I wouldn't. It wouldn't make me more confident for Pocono. It really wouldn't. I don't see the tracks being that similar. This place is so unique to itself with the 90-degree corners and the challenges that we face here in trying to get through the corner are just Indy. That's just the way it is at Indy. And I don't know that there's anything that I do at any part in the rest of the season that I could pull from that would help us here. But we fight trying to get the cars to turn in the throttle and push off of the corners. The race will be a little bit different, but we fight a lot of the same issues every time I come here, no matter what spoilers on the car, no matter how much power you got, no matter what springs and shocks you got in the car. It's just inherent that you're going to chase the same issues. And but there's some things that maybe the latter half of turn 3 at Pocono are kind of similar, and what gets through that corner may help you here.
Dale, Megan McEwen, Wish TV, Indianapolis. You spoke earlier about the historic part of this track. What would it mean to you to win here, especially in your last go? And what will you miss most about racing here every year?
It'd be awesome to win one of the big key races in the season. Having come here and been more frustrated than not, it's been it was a race that I think all the drivers feel is very important to our series and a big milestone in your career. Ranks right up there, probably close to the Daytona 500 in importance and pride to be able to come away as a winner at this place. And considering how our season's gone, a win here would right all the wrongs. We'd probably forget about all the struggles we've had to get a big win like that. What I'll miss the most is the feeling that you get when you come into this racetrack. When you walk through Gasoline Alley and you're in the, we're kind of in the F1 garage and so forth, and just the feeling that you get when you know what's happened here, who's raced here, who's been here. I was just thinking about that in practice going down the back straightaway about all the names that have went down that straightaway. It's so overwhelming. If you could put yourself in, if you could go back in time and just experience everything that's happened here, it's so overwhelming to think about. And so I'll miss that. You know, I don't know how you explain it or how you put that into words, but the feeling that you get when you walk into here is like it's such a kind of I don't know. It's such a special place. It's hard to put it into words. There's not a lot of tracks that give me that feeling. Daytona maybe, but even as I'm so proud of Daytona and it means so much to me. You know, what happened here is a little bit bigger, you know, as far as what's happened here in the last 100 years. It's a little bit bigger than all of us, you know. And so we, you know, it never gets old coming here because of that. So I'd like to be able to come here, you know, after my retirement, especially for the Indy race. I've never been to the Indy 500, obviously, so that would be a great experience. And you know, it's an impressive place.
We'll go to this gentleman on the right and this young lady up front, and then we'll finish with Chris.
Dale, we talked a little on the elevator about your Twitter presence. How important do you think it is for drivers to have a big social media presence?
Well, I think it's really important considering, you know, we need to target the younger demographic. Our fan base is getting older and older. So that and that's where they are. They're all on social media, various platforms. We got a lot of young drivers that are comfortable on those platforms and feel comfortable being themselves and showcasing their personalities, whether they're, you know, they may be doing that unintentionally, just being themselves. But I think that I don't know. I've had a great time since I joined social media. I was a little weary because Jimmy was telling me it was sort of 50-50 as far as, you know, how nice people were. But I swear I've said this, and I really believe this, that Twitter has some sort of special filter on mine where I only get the good comments. So it's all roses for me. I can... You know, and I think it's a great way for fans to feel a better connection, a little stronger connection with the sport, with the drivers who are in it. Obviously, it's a great place for information and a great place to kind of see what everybody's up to, what they're doing. But I think that my generation has had to learn how to use social media, whereas, you know, Blaney and these guys grew up with it, and they see it a little bit differently than we do. They utilize it a little bit differently than we do, and they're a little more unguarded, I guess. And that's going to be good. You know, I think that raw experience that the fans get when they follow some of these younger guys is going to be important to the sport going forward and creating this a new generation of fans. And that's where it's at. It's going to be it's going to be through social media, and it's good that the drivers are using that.
Come up front.
Hi, Dale. I'm Becca with Big Machine Radio, and I just wondered if you could comment. This is the Brantley Gilbert Big Machine Brickyard 400. I've had a chance to talk to Brantley, and I know that he has said he is a long-term Earnhardt family fan, and he's pulling for you on this race. Can you just talk about having his name and Big Machine on this race, and have you ever had a chance to meet Brantley or hang out with him and talk to him?
I think we did get to meet one time, if my memory serves me correct. But the country music industry's had a big influence on our sport for a really long time, and so I think it's a great positive. Hopefully he enjoys having his name on the race. That's quite unique. So anyone should be excited about that. But it'll certainly be great for him and for his fans. Hopefully, you know, I'm not sure he's got many fans that aren't aware of NASCAR, but maybe the ones that aren't might become NASCAR fans. So it's a great cross promotion, and it's a good fit.
Okay, we'll go next to Jim Utter.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. This is kind of a lighthearted question, but also serious. Were you surprised at the backlash that Amy got this week from your comments, and do you think she handled it well?
She had to put something out because she felt like she needed to say something. I put her in that position, and it's probably my fault for throwing her under the bus like that. But she's been there for everything and knows it more. A lot of folks that may have a different opinion about it weren't there through the whole process, and so if anyone knows how difficult it was, besides me, it'd be her. It wasn't a lot of fun for her, and we look at the Clash, and people are like, well, then why are you racing at all? So the Clash has a real high crash rate. There's a real big potential to either finish the race or wreck. We've internally complained about that for years. Why do we even run that race? Because we always end up tearing up all 4 cars. It's a bit of a joke that we have. But your instinct, when you win that pole, especially when you don't win one for 4 or 5 years, is that, man, I've been bragging about, or trying to, not bragging, but I've been trying to talk them into making this Clash back about, more about pole winners, because that was what you would hear guys say when they would win the pole back in the 90s. Man, I'm in the Clash. I'm excited. That's what they would get out of the car and say. That was the best promotion you could have for that race. We kind of lost it lost its identity. So now that they are kind of leaning back toward the pole sitters, I was excited to win the pole. My first reaction was that I got an opportunity to run the Clash, and but if it's it sounds like a great idea right off the bat, but maybe it's not worth it. But I feel I feel much more in control of my own fate in the remainder of this season and anything I do beyond that than I do being out there in the Clash, to be honest with you, even though it's a pretty cool race to be in. If you just look at the, I guess, past history, at least my history, it's been feast or famine, and you either run really good or you end up tearing it up, and it's just probably not even worth it. But if it's something she feels strongly about, I have to sit down. We have to sit down and have to hear her out. But yeah, I kind of threw her under the bus there, and probably should have never even mentioned it. But it put her in a tough spot, and she felt like she had to voice some sort of a statement about it. And I thought she handled it well. For no more characters than she used, I thought she got her point across.
That's a great answer, Dale. With that, we're going to turn you loose to go pursue history and winning the Brickyard 400.
We're going to the kids' autograph session.
Good deal.
All right.
Enjoy that.
We'll see.
Okay, we're going to continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availability for the Brantley Gilbert Big Machine Brickyard 400 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And we're now joined by Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet, and believe it or not, children's book author. I hear you recently added that to your resume. Could you please explain what that's all about?
Yeah, it's cool to have a children's book coming out later this fall. Here's the cover of it. Kyle Loves Racing. It's pretty neat now having a son of my own and reading children's books to him all the time. To have my own, I'm sure he'll think it's really cool. So it was a fun process for sure, and it's kind of just based off my my career a little bit and my 2 Cup wins that I'd had last year and then earlier this year. So fun deal, and it's always cool to kind of give back a little bit and try and stay in touch with the youth of our sport.
Well, talking about the youth of our sport, looking ahead to this week, winning a Brickyard 400 as somebody who has grown up loving auto racing from the time you can first remember. What would it be for you? What would it be like for you to win here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I've ran good every time I've been here. I think in the top 6 or 8, my 3 races I've ran. So always have speed, and I'm really excited about this weekend because we've had more speed than we've ever had anywhere so far in my career. So practice though didn't go quite like I'd hoped, and especially in qualifying trim I didn't think we were very good, but we'll work on it some and get better, and we typically race better even than we practice, I feel like.
Okay, let's open the floor up for questions. If you have a question for Kyle, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start here with Megan. We'll work our way around.
Hi, Megan McEwen, Wish TV Indianapolis. Kyle spoke yesterday about how hard it is to pass here. How important does that make qualifying today?
Yeah, qualifying's always important, and especially when you come to Indy because it is tough to pass. But I think if you look the last 2 weekends, those are probably some of the hardest tracks to pass at as well. And we didn't get to, or we had to start last in both those, and you made our way in the top 10 or 5 pretty quickly. So I think if you have a good car, you can be able to pass. But for sure, hopefully we can get qualifying in today. Or if not, that'd probably actually work out better because I'd start on the front row. But I think if you have a good car, you can get underneath people and pass them fairly easy.
We'll go to Doug, then to Bruce.
All right, Doug Rice, PRN, IMS Radio. So you're actually pulling for rain then, if I heard that right.
The way my mock runs went, yeah, I'm pulling for rain.
Address your level of confidence with the success that you've had this year, going out, winning races, starting in the back, running to the front, qualifying well. What's that done for Kyle Larson, a race car driver, and his confidence?
Yeah, my confidence has definitely been high all season in all forms of racing that I've done. I feel like I've got a shot to win in any type of car I race at any track too. So it's been a fun summer already, just from all the races I've won, and you ran in the top 2 really. I've had a lot of second place finishes also. But yeah, confidence is big in anything in life, and when you've got that, it's kind of hard to stop it. So I feel like our team's really confident right now, even with all the tech issues we've had the last couple weeks. We're still confident as ever, and I think it shows on the racetrack.
Bruce Martin with Auto Week. You came into the series with so much promise and potential to now be achieving that. How rewarding is that to you?
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding. I always believed in myself and believed that our race team would get there eventually. It was just kind of a process to get to where we're at now, and putting the right people in the right place. I feel like the first couple of years we had speed at times and could show that we had the potential as a team, but now to be doing it on a consistent basis is really cool, and I'm glad that the fans and people at home and in the stands get to realize how good our team is, because I feel like we've got a great bunch of guys and girls at our shop that work hard throughout the week and allow myself and Jamie to get to go have some fun and run up front. So it's neat always to be one of the best in anything you're doing, and to do it at a young age is cool.
Okay, the gentleman on the right.
Kyle back here. Eric Smith, Race View Online. Kyle was in here yesterday, Kyle Busch, and said he was going to run the Indy 500, but his boss said no. I talked to your boss in May, and he said that if the funding and everything was right, he would actually love to have you try here in the 500 sometime. Is that on your radar still?
Yeah, I definitely think Chip would do it. I think they're just all kind of waiting on me to, at this point now, to say I want to do it, and I do. But when I see the Scott Dixon and Bourdais crash, it kind of makes me think twice about it a little bit. But I'll get the courage up to do it someday, maybe next year or the year after. But I want to do it at the right time too. I feel like the way IndyCar is, and maybe the politics of it or whatever, it seems like one manufacturer's good one year, and then the next one's good the next year, and then the next one's good the next year. So I want to time it at the right time, where whatever manufacturer Chip's with is the best at that time.
Dick Mittman, 500 Old Timers. When you came in and Dale was there, you chatted with him briefly. He's seemed to be the last of the old breed, and you're part of the new. How do you feel about taking over, such a high honor?
Yeah, we're at an interesting time in NASCAR racing, and there's definitely a huge youth movement coming in, and it's neat to see the style of drivers and teams are different nowadays, and I think it's a great opportunity for us young guys to kind of try and do our part to help the sport out. And Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, I'm sure I'm missing others, have done so much for the sport to get us to where we're at now for my generation. And we've got a great crop of young guys already in the Cup Series, and another 8 or 10 below us in racing trucks or Xfinity that are just waiting for more rides to open up. So it's a fun time, and I feel like we're all ready to take over in a way and lead the sport, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun.
We'll go next to Jim, then to Woody, then to Chris.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. This kind of goes back to Bruce's question, but your car owner, Chip, has experienced a lot of success in many various forms of motorsports, but his NASCAR success has been sort of hit or miss. Do you get a sense with the way this season has gone that not only him but everybody at Chip Ganassi Racing on the NASCAR side is kind of getting a sense a little bit more excited about how that program has transformed recently?
Yeah, I think with running good, you're definitely excited, and everybody at the shop, you can see when you walk in, they're excited and confident as well. And you're right. I mean, our Chips Cup program in the years has been very up and down, and even in the 4 years I've been there, it seems like all throughout the whole season is a roller coaster ride, and this has been the most consistent we've ever ran. And I'm glad it's consistent on the good side. But you look at sports car teams and IndyCar teams, they're always consistently up front, and now we've got ours where we run up front all the time is awesome and great for Chip. He's worked so hard himself, and getting sponsorship and putting people in the right place, and for all of his hard work to pay off is neat also.
Woody came with MRN. Kyle, a lot of people say there's something here that you can take and apply to Pocono. You had a top 10 finish there last time. Are you a subscriber to that theory? Does anything here work there as well or help there?
I don't know. I'm sure. I don't get into the setup part of it, but so I don't even know if setups are close or not. But I know I've been struggling. Pocono, I normally struggle with a weird kind of aero looseness feeling into the corner that it's really hard to describe. And so far today, I've kind of felt the same thing here. So that's why I've been kind of pointing out as like I got the same Pocono feeling here, and it's not a good feeling. So they've been working on it, and I think turn 2 is like the tunnel, or the turn 2 at Pocono is like the corners here. But I think I've always heard people say that also.
Chris?
ChrisKnight@Trends.com. Kyle, speaking of the youth movement, is there drivers that you race with, maybe in Xfinity or keep your eyes on in trucks and say, man, when they get the Cup, I'm really going to have to battle them each week out? Or somebody maybe in open wheel that we haven't heard of yet that you think that maybe deserves an opportunity to get into NASCAR like you did?
Well, I mean, I definitely think you have to look at Christopher Bell as being the top of that list. And I got to, see his potential before, a couple years before he ever made it to trucks, and seeing how good he is. So, I hope, I don't know what Furniture Row situation is, but I hope Bell gets to go in the 77. And then, there's so many kids in dirt racing that deserve an opportunity to make it, at least get a shot at a solid K&N ride, and then see how they can progress from there. But it just comes down to funding these days, and it's a shame that there's so much talent that doesn't get to show for it in NASCAR. And I think right now, if you look at really young guys, Gio Scelzi is probably the best that I see coming up in wing sprint cars. Spencer Baston, Logan Seavey, Buddy Kofoid. So there's a lot of open wheel guys that I hope someday get the chance.
Brody?
Brody Miller with the Indianapolis Star. You mentioned maybe the crashes with IndyCar, maybe making you a little extra nervous about that transition. Do you talk with any of the other, IndyCar drivers about that jump at all?
No, I haven't. I would probably, I've got great teammates at Chip Ganassi Racing that I could lean on. Scott Dixon is the best in racing, and so I could always talk to him. But I'd probably be more curious to talk to like Kurt Busch or somebody, just because he's got my background and did an awesome job here at Indy. So if I ever did get the chance to race, for sure I'd be talking to Kurt quite a bit.
Any additional questions for Kyle? Bruce?
I know you've spent time over at the museum before. Have you ever got a chance to go downstairs in the basement and see the really unique stuff?
Yeah. Donald Davidson's taken me down there a couple times with my parents. My dad is kind of a historian as well, so them two together is fun to be around, because they'll quiz each other on stuff and all that, and looking at pictures and starting lineups of like the 1970 Indy Mile race, and they can name off everybody. So yeah, walking through the Hall of Fame is a lot of fun, but especially going downstairs and seeing those unique cars is cool. So I don't think I got the time to go check it out this year, and my parents aren't here, but hopefully in the future I get a chance to cruise back through there. I don't remember cars specifically. I'm not a huge car guy. I just always think it's cool when you see old, sprint cars or whatever in there, and because that's what I'm really into, and seeing how crazy those guys were that used to strap into them things or not be strapped into, where is pretty funny.
Go over here to the right.
Zach Worrell, Indianapolis Star. Kyle, now granted you haven't ran as many races here, but of the field, you have the highest average finish, and your worst finish is 9th. Is there something about this track that clicks for you, or that comes naturally for you as to why you're so good?
I don't know. I think it's a rhythm type of racetrack, and maybe I don't know why. I'm not sure, but maybe the rhythm thing, and I would say being smooth, but I don't feel like I'm the smoothest guy out there. But I don't know. I think if you look at Chip's record here with Juan or Jamie, this just seems to be a really good track. For whatever reason, maybe I don't know if we piggyback off the IndyCar team at all on anything, if you can. But I feel like Chip's always been good here. So even in the seasons where they haven't been strong, they've been good at Indy. So I don't know what it is about that.
Well, Kyle, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Good luck this weekend, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
If I can have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 14 Mobil 1 Rush Truck Centers Ford for Stewart Haas Racing. Clint, you were 14th in final practice here. How do you feel about the car going into Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series qualifying tonight?
Well, obviously being 14th, you wish you had more speed. It's just, unfortunately, this track's one of them tracks where if that baby don't unload off the box, at the top of the sheet where you want to be, it's a long road to hoe from then on out for the weekend. It's just it's a downforce and horsepower racetrack. Obviously, balance is a big thing as you go through the long runs of the race, but that front side of the speed throughout a run is very, very important, because it is hard to pass here and everything in between. So hopefully we'll get qualified decent. Need to be better than a 14th. You need to be able to have advantage of that clean air and stuff like we talk about, and which you enjoy up front. So qualifying is going to be a premium, and if it isn't meant to be, we'll race our butts off tomorrow.
Okay. Let's open the floor up for questions. If you have a question for Clint, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. Don't everybody jump at once. Questions for Clint Bowyer. Bob.
Bob Parker, ESPN. Do you should, even though the aero package is a little bit different this year than last year, do you expect kind of a similar type of race?
Yeah, you mean the Xfinity race or ours?
No, yours.
Oh.
Yours. The Xfinity race will be different. But
I guess my answer is I'm looking forward to watching this Xfinity race. That is my smart-ass answer without being a smart-ass. Does that make any sense?
We'll go to Woody, and then we'll go to Kenny.
Woody came with MRN. Clint, a lot of people seem to think that there's some kind of correlation between here and Pocono. Are you a believer in that theory that if you can do well here, you do well there, since you're going there next week?
I hope not. I crashed in Pocono. I hit the wall. I don't want to hit the wall here. It's no bueno. Hey, I mean, they're both flat. You know, they're both big. This one's a square and that one's a triangle. Never been able to put a triangle in a square peg, but I guess the correlation's there.
Kenny?
Kenny Bruce, NASCAR.com. Clint, the schedule's not totally different from some other places you go.
Yes,
like
yes. I'm going to stop you right there.
Well, Bristol's like a 2-day show, but
keep going.
The night race, but for the most part, it's totally different. How does it? What do you think of the schedule?
I was freaking out all day yesterday. Literally kept looking at my phone. I looked at it in the morning, and I looked at it in the afternoon. About lunch, I was over at the lake this week with my family at a family vacation at the lake. The whole family was there, and I looked at my phone at lunch. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I looked at it again about 3 o'clock. I'm like, it's Friday. We're missing something. So, yes, it is drastically different. It is welcomed as far as I'm concerned. They all need to be this way. There's no reason to string them out 3 or 4 days, sometimes a week. We have events that are a week long or even longer, 2 weeks long at a racetrack. Today's day and age, I just don't see a need for it, especially when you can do it in 2 days like we're doing this weekend. But what a neat deal. I think it's been 12 years I've been doing this, and I've never been home on a Friday. You know, there was actually people out. People went to dinner. There was normal living things going on while I was still at home.
Do you have a preference as far as like qualifying days?
One day'd be good.
Yeah, because I mean, when you go to Pocono, Watkins Glen, you qualify on race day.
Yeah. You know, looking at Watkins Glen, we were talking about that. That's going to be some pretty. If you were to miss a gear, blow your engine up like we've seen, and qualifying, you only got a couple hours, you know, to get that backup car out, get an engine in that, and to get it on the racetrack. So your back's going to be up against the wall. It's going to make doing your job as a driver and qualifying a premium when we go there. But hey, it's doable. At the end of the day, if we need to work on anything and a 2-day show is not possible, we need to work on our tech procedures. I mean, allowing that much time for tech is crazy in my book.
Bruce?
Bruce Martin with Auto Week. Kind of to dovetail off Kenny's question, the 2-day shows are great, but right now you've got about 6 or 7 hours to kill before you go out and qualify. So is there a way to kind of
Sure did enjoy those 6 or 7 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
Didn't
I'm
you?
saying, is there another way for you to kind of maybe
I'm going to go for a jog, I
early?
think. Work on. It's actually cooled down a bunch. Let me tell you something. I've been out here in the Midwest all week long. It was hot. Yesterday it was stupid hot. Wednesday was crazy, or Thursday was crazy hot. This cloud cover is certainly a blessing for all of us. It's going to be a lot better, more enjoyable 2 days for sure. Yeah.
Go with this gentleman here in the gray shirt.
And that goes for our fans too. That's not just the competitors. That's not just the teams and everything else. I mean, our fans are in this with us. We need to take care of them, and we need them at the racetrack. And I think, you know, taking some steps like this could lead to that.
Go ahead.
Al Stilley, IMS. You came here, 12 years ago, I think, for your first Brickyard 400. Does this race and being on these grounds still have kind of the same mystique, or has this become kind of matter of fact now?
This place will always be Indianapolis. I mean, this is the racetrack that means I mean, there's only one in our world that means any more than this, and that's just because it's our world. You know what I mean? I mean, in the world of motorsports, Indianapolis and this racetrack is the most prestigious race there is. In our world of NASCAR, it's not. Daytona 500 will always be. That being said, it's always an honor to come here. It's at one of my favorite racetracks. it's probably not even on the podium for that. But it is an honor to come here and to be able to compete here.
Zach?
Zach Tanzavetti, front stretch. Elliott Sadler said with the Xfinity cars, the aero ducts on the front of the cars, he feels like that could be a good idea, possibly for Cup cars in the future. So you talked about watching the Xfinity race today. Are you going to be watching closely, and do you feel like that is something that might work for Cup cars if it works well today?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's why you have that Xfinity series, to be able to build and develop a lot of different things on a lot of different fronts, whether that's a driver, a crew chief, an engineer, or certainly a package in our race cars. I hope that it works. I think they've put a lot of thought into it, a lot of work went into it, and I believe it will work. I don't think this is something they just tiptoed into and just stumbled across on a whim. It's a thought out process and a package that they put on these Xfinity cars. And, I remember watching the Indianapolis 500, and it was pretty boring until a few years ago, and now all the fans are crawling back in here and everything else, and it's a pretty damn good show. They're drafting well and doing a lot of things that I think this package should do for our cars as well. It's not going to lend to that side-by-side racing that everybody kind of uses as a phrase, as good racing in our world, but it didn't for them either. It creates those moments, those opportunities to be able to pass, to be able to draft up on a car. When two cars get side-by-side, as you see today, I think that third car behind them will be able to draft even more so and create a moment, and those moments are what capture an eye of an audience, in my opinion.
Additional questions for Clint? Well, Clint,
awesome.
Good luck today in qualifying, and good luck tomorrow in the Brickyard 400.
Thank you.
You're welcome.